My father's brother knocked on my door on a Saturday morning in March. I had been in my Tucson apartment for 3 years, and nothing about the Saturday before he knocked had been different from any other Saturday. I had been making coffee and had been getting ready to go into the office for a few hours of the kind of quiet morning work that the office allows on the weekends. I had answered the door in the specific form of someone answering a door who is not expecting anyone, in weekend clothes, with coffee. The man at the door had been 63 years old and had had a face that was a longer version of my father's face. He had said, "You are Nyla." He had said it without question marks. He had said, "I'm your uncle, Terrence." He had said, "I know I am the last person you expected." He had said, "I'm sorry to come without calling." He had said, "I did not think you would answer if I called first." He had said it with the specific honesty of someone who has been rehearsing a speech for 25 years and who is now in the middle of delivering it and who is going to finish delivering it no matter what. I had not seen my Uncle Terrence since I was 8 years old. There had been a falling out, the word the adults in my family had used for whatever had happened between him and my father. And after the falling out, he had not been present at family occasions, and his name had not been spoken in my family in the ordinary way that names are spoken. It had been spoken in the specific way that names are spoken when the name is complicated, occasionally in the past tense, with a specific quality of restraint around it. I had been 8 and had understood that something had happened, and that the understanding of what had happened was not available to an 8-year-old. I had waited for the understanding to become available. It had not fully become available by the time I was 20 or 25 or 33. I had built a model of what had happened based on the fragments I had assembled. The word estrangement, my grandmother's specific sadness when his name came up, my father's face when something reminded him. The model had been incomplete because the primary source for the full picture had been at some other address for 25 years. He had been on my doorstep now. I had let him in. I want to say this clearly because the letting in had been a decision I had made in the 30 seconds between his saying, "I am your uncle, Terrence," and my stepping back from the door. I had made the decision from the incomplete model, the only model I had, and from the specific quality of his face, which had been the face of a man who had been carrying something for 25 years and who was setting it down on my doorstep. The face had been the deciding factor. I had made coffee for both of us. We had sat at my kitchen table. He had said, "I want to tell you some things, and I want to ask your permission to tell them." I had said, "Tell me what you want to tell me, and then I will decide what to do with it." He had said, "That is fair." He had said, "I want to start with what happened 25 years ago. I want to say something about what he had told me and about how the telling had arrived across the 2 hours we had been at the kitchen table. He had told me that he had been, in his 30s, in the specific form of trouble that addiction produces, the bad years, the years when the need for the substance had organized the daily life and had reorganized everything else in the life around the need. He had said, "I was in the worst of it when I was 34 and 35. He had said, "I did things I am not going to detail for you, but that you can probably imagine." He had said, "I hurt people who loved me." He had said, "Your father was one of them." He had said, "I hurt your grandparents in specific ways." He had said, "Your father had been trying to protect them and had been trying to protect you." He had said, "The falling out was your father ending contact to protect the people he was responsible for protecting." He had said, "I am not here to tell you your father was wrong." He had said, "I am here to tell you your father was doing the thing a person does when the thing they love has become dangerous to the people it is around." He had said, "I am not the person I was." He had said, "I have been sober for 24 years. He had said, "I am 63, and I have been 24 years in the work of becoming the person I should have been before the bad years. I am a cartographer. I have been working for 8 years at a geospatial consulting firm in Tucson, Arizona, where I work on the production of detailed maps for government, environmental, and infrastructure clients. The specific form of my work is the work of representing the landscape accurately, the translation of satellite data and ground survey measurements into the specific form of the map that a user can navigate and that a researcher can work from. The map I produce is always an approximation of the territory. It is the best available representation given the resolution of the data, the projection chosen, the scale at which the map is produced. The map is not the territory, but the map that is honest about its approximations and that has been produced with the most complete data available is a more useful thing than a map that has been produced from incomplete data without knowing it is incomplete. I had been thinking about maps and territory while Terrence had been talking at my kitchen table. I had a map of the falling out that had been produced from incomplete data for 25 years. He had arrived with more data. I want to say something about my father, and about who he is, and about what the 25 years of the estrangement had looked like from my position inside the family that my father had been protecting. My father's name is William. He is 66 years old. He had been 41 when the falling out had happened, and I had been 8 and my brother had been 5. He has been, across my life, the specific kind of father who had organized himself around what the people he loved needed from him. Not the demonstrative, effusive form, but the reliable provider form. The form of a man who shows up and does the work and maintains the structure and keeps the lights on. He had been that form across my childhood and into my adult life. He had also been, across all of those years, the specific form of a person who had a thing in them that had not been resolved, not a thing that had impeded the functioning. He had been a good father and a good husband and a good man, but a thing that sat in the specific quiet space inside a person where the unresolved things sit. I had known it was there. I had not known its name. Terrence on the doorstep had been the first time the thing had had a visitor who could name it. Before I go on, if something in this story is landing close to something real in your life, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely feel it. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from and what time it is there. I read every single one. My name is Nyla. I am 33 years old. I am a cartographer in Tucson, Arizona. And this is the story of what happened in the months after Terrence knocked on my door, and what I said to my father, and what my father said back, and what I understand now about the map I had been working from and the territory it had not fully shown me. I want to say something about the 2 hours at the kitchen table and about what Terrence had told me beyond the account of the falling out and about what I had understood about him by the time the coffee had been finished. He had been living in Phoenix for 18 years. He had been working as a substance abuse counselor for the past 11 years, which had been the professional form of the 24 years of his own recovery, the specific path that some people take from the bad years toward the work of helping other people navigate the bad years. He had a wife named Carol, who had known him since they had been in the same recovery community in Phoenix, and who had known from the beginning about the estrangement and who had been the person who had eventually said, "You need to go." He had said, "She told me last year that I had been waiting for something." She had said, "You are waiting for the perfect moment to reach out and the perfect moment is not coming." She had said, "Go." He had come. He had started with me rather than with my father, because he had understood that going directly to my father was the larger thing, and that he had needed to do the smaller thing first. He had said, "I did not know how your father would receive me." He had said, "I thought if I came to you first and you told me to go away, I could accept that." He had said, "I did not know if I could accept it from him." I had said, "What do you want from him?" He had been quiet for a long time. He had said, "I do not need anything from him." He had said, "I want him to know I am not the person I was." He had said, "That is the whole of what I want." I had called my father the evening after Terrence had come to my door. I had not told him on the call. I had told him I needed to talk to him and had asked when he and my mother would be free for a call on the following weekend. He had said, "Is everything okay?" I had said, "Yes, everything is okay." I had said, "I just need to talk to you about something." He had said, "Okay." He had said, "Sunday works." I had spent the week between Terrence's visit and the Sunday call doing the specific form of preparation that the situation required, thinking through what I was going to say and in what order, and what I was asking for from my father when I said it. I was not asking him to do anything. I was giving him information. The information was that his brother had come to my door and had told me things and was still in Phoenix and had asked nothing of my father directly. I had spoken to Terrence again briefly in the week between the visit and the Sunday call. I had told him that I was going to tell my father. He had said, "Yes, I know." He had been quiet. He had said, "Whatever he says, I understand it." He had said, "I'm not asking you to produce an outcome. I had said, yes. He had said, I am grateful you let me in. I had said, yes. I said, I am glad you came. He had said, I had been waiting to come for 24 years. I had said, I know. He had been quiet. He had said, tell him I am not the person I was. I had said, yes, I will tell him that. I want to say something about the cartographic framework and about what the specific concept of map accuracy had given me for understanding what I was carrying into the Sunday call with my father. In cartography, the concept of positional accuracy refers to the degree to which the locations shown on the map correspond to the actual locations on the ground. A map with high positional accuracy represents features where they actually are. A map with positional errors represents features in the wrong locations. Not wrong in a random way, but wrong in the systematic way of an instrument that was calibrated from incomplete data, or from a projection that introduces specific distortions at specific latitudes. The map of the falling out that I had been carrying for 25 years had the specific positional errors of a map produced from limited data at the resolution of an 8-year-old. The features had been placed in approximately the right locations, but the relative distances had been wrong, and some features had been placed on the map and others had been absent because the data source, the family narrative that 8-year-old me had been given access to, had not contained them. Terrence's Saturday visit had been the higher resolution data source. The Sunday call with my father would be the other primary source. I had been updating the map. The updating was the work. The Sunday call had been what it had been. I had told my father that Terrence had come to my door. He had been very quiet. I had said, I let him in. He had been quiet for a long time. I had said, I want to tell you what he said. My father had said, tell me. I had told him, in the organized form I had been preparing across the week, the 24 years sober, the Phoenix address, the substance abuse counseling, the Carol who had finally said go. I had told him that Terrence had said he did not need anything from him and that the only thing he had wanted was for him to know he was not the person he was. My father had been very quiet through the telling. When I had finished, he had been quiet for a long time. He had said, how did he look? I had said, he looked like you in a longer form. He had been quiet again. He had said, I have been thinking about him for 25 years. He had said it in the specific form of a man saying a true thing for the first time out loud, to a person who would actually hear it. He had said, I did not know if he was still alive. He had said, I had not let myself find out. I want to say something about what my father had said after he had said I have been thinking about him for 25 years, and about what the next hour of the Sunday call had been. He had, once the first saying was out, said more than I had heard him say about Terrence in the full 25 years of the estrangement. He had said that the falling out had been the correct thing. The years of the addiction had been the specific years they had been, and the things that had happened had required the ending of contact for the protection of the people he was responsible for protecting. He had said all of this in the tone of a man who had made a decision that had been right, and who had been living with the cost of the right decision for 25 years. He had said, the right thing is not always the thing without a cost. He had said, I knew the cost when I made the decision. He had said, I have been paying the cost. He had said this not to elicit sympathy, but to name accurately the thing that had been in him that I had been seeing for 25 years without its name. The unresolved thing in him had been the specific cost of the right decision. The grief of the lost brother, sustained across 25 years, alongside the knowledge that the decision had been right. Both had been in him simultaneously. The grief and the rightness had been together in the specific space where the unresolved things sit. I had been aware of the presence of the thing for 25 years. I had the name of the thing now. It was the grief of Terrence, maintained alongside the knowledge that the maintenance of the distance had been correct. I want to say something about what my father had said about the possibility of contact, and about what the Sunday call had produced in terms of where the situation was after the call. He had not said, yes, I want to talk to him. He had not said, no, I do not want to hear his name again. He had said, I need time. He had said, this is a large thing. He had said, I have been in the decision for 25 years, and the decision has been the right decision, and I need to receive the information that the decision might be ready to change in the form of the time it needs. I had said yes. I had said, Terrence said he was not asking for anything. I had said, he said he is not asking you to produce an outcome. He had been quiet. He had said, that sounds like him. He had said it in the specific tone of a man recognizing a quality in a person he has known for 60 years and has not spoken to in 25. He had said, he was always careful about asking for things. I had said, yes. He had said, even when he was in the worst of it, he was careful about the asking. I had said, yes. He had been quiet. He had said, I need the time. I had said yes. He had said, I am glad you told me. He had said, I am glad he came to you first. He had said, that was the right way to do it. He had said, he always knew the right way to do things. He had said, he just did not always do the right thing. He had said it in the specific form of someone who loves a person and who has not been in that love's full expression for 25 years, and who is now on a Sunday call, beginning to be in it again. I want to say something about the weeks between the Sunday call and the moment when my father had made the decision he had made, and about how I had known the decision was coming before it arrived. He had called me in the weeks after the Sunday call more often than was usual for our calls, not with Terrence as the explicit topic of every call, but with Terrence present in the calls in the way that something is present when both people are aware of it and neither is avoiding it. He had asked me questions across the weeks, careful, specific questions about what Terrence had looked like and what the apartment had felt like and what Carol had been described as being like. He had been building the picture from what I had seen, filling in the update to his internal map of his brother's life across the 25 years. He had been doing the map updating that I had been doing since the Saturday doorstep. The updating was not a decision. It was the preparation for a decision. I had watched him prepare across the calls. I had not pushed. I had given him what he asked for when he asked for it. I had not suggested what the decision should be. The decision was his to make. The territory was his. I had been the cartographer who had brought him the new data. The use of the new data was his responsibility, not mine. He called me on a Wednesday evening in May 6 weeks after the Sunday call. He said, I called him. I had been in my office. I had closed the laptop. I had said, tell me. He had said, I called him this morning. He had said, we talked for an hour and a half. He had been quiet. He had said, it was hard. He had said, not hard in the way of difficult, hard in the way of something that has been compressed for a long time encountering the space it needed. He had said, I had forgotten the specific quality of talking to him. He had said, I had spent 25 years thinking of him in the form he had been in, the bad years. He had said, the form on the phone was not that form. I had said, no. He had said, he is different. I had said, yes. He had said, I know 24 years of recovery is real. He had said, I work in this field. He had said, I know what 24 years looks like. He had said, he has done the work. I had said, yes. He had been quiet. He had said, it was one phone call. I had said, yes. He had said, I am not going to call it anything more than one phone call. I had said, yes. He had said, but I am glad I made it. I had said, yes. He had said, it was past time. I had said, yes. He had said, I have been thinking about him for 25 years. He had said, now I have talked to him. He had said, that is a different thing. I had said, yes, that is a different thing. I want to say something about what the cartographic concept of revision had given me for understanding what the phone call between my father and Terrence had been and what it had produced. In cartography, when new data arrives that changes what the map shows, the map is revised. The revision is not a repudiation of the previous version of the map. The previous version was the best available representation at the time it was produced, with the data that had been available at that time. The revision acknowledges that the previous version was produced with incomplete data, incorporates the new data, and produces a more accurate representation. The revision is an upgrade, not a correction in the sense of moral judgment. My father's 25 years of the decision had been produced from the data that had been available at the time. the specific things that had happened during Terrence's bad years, the specific damage, the specific necessity of the protective distance. The data had been accurate. The map produced from it had been appropriate to the data. The new data, 24 years of sobriety, the Phoenix life, the Carol who had said go, the hour-and-a-half phone call, had been the revision data. The revised map still contained everything the original map had contained. The bad years were in the territory, the damage had happened, the protective distance had been necessary. The revised map also contained what the territory had become in the 25 years since the original had been made. The territory had changed. The map had been revised to reflect the territory as it was now. The revision was not the replacement of the original. It was the map finally matching what the territory actually was. In June, 3 months after the Saturday doorstep, my father and Terrence had a video call that included me. I had been the one to arrange the format. I had said to my father, when he had been uncertain what the next form of contact would be, that the three of us could be on a call together if that felt easier than the two of them alone. He had said yes. He had said, I think I want you there. I had said, I will be there. The call had been on a Sunday afternoon. My father had been at his house in Houston. Terrence had been in Phoenix. I had been in Tucson. 3 cities and 30 years of the compressed thing on a Sunday afternoon video call. The call had been what such calls are, slightly awkward at first, the specific quality of people who have known each other and who are knowing each other again in a new form, and then increasingly itself as the call had found its way into the territory of the actual conversation. They had talked about things I had not known about, shared memories from before the bad years, the specific texture of the life they had had together growing up. The call had lasted 2 hours. At some point near the end, my father had said, I want to say something. Both of us had been quiet. He had said, I am glad you are not dead. He had said it directly, without apology for the directness. Terrence had been quiet for a moment. He had said, I am glad too. He had said, there were years when I was not certain. My father had said, I know. He had said, I was not certain either. He had said, I am glad we are in the certain. They had both been in the certain on the Sunday afternoon video call. I had been in Tucson watching the certain. I want to say something about what the 3-city call had produced in my understanding of my father, and about what the full picture had added to the map I had been working from. My father had said in the hour after the call when it had been just the two of us, I want to tell you something about the 25 years. I had said, tell me. He had said, I never forgot the person he was before the bad years. He had said, I had been thinking about both versions of him simultaneously for 25 years. He had said, the version in the bad years, which was the reason for the distance, and the version from before, which was the reason the distance had cost what it had cost. He had said, the person I was protecting my family from was real. He had said, the person I was mourning was also real. He had said, I had them both in me, and I had not been able to explain to you why the thing sat in me the way it sat. He had said, now maybe you understand. I had said, yes. I said, I understand now. He had said, the two versions of a person can be present in you at the same time. He had said, the grief for the person from before does not cancel the decision to protect your family from the person in the bad years. He had said, both things are in the map. I had said yes. He had said, the map held both. I had said yes. I had said the map was right. He had said yes. He had said the map was right. He had said it was just incomplete. He had said, now it has more in it. I had said yes. Now it has more in it. He had said, that is good. I had said yes. It is good. In August, 5 months after the Saturday doorstep, Terrence had come to Houston for a weekend. Not a family occasion, a specific visit. The two brothers in the same city for the first time in 25 years. I had not gone. I had understood that the Houston weekend was the visit that needed to happen without me. The thing between the two of them that had been compressed for 25 years needed the space of the two of them without their cartographer. My father had called me on the Sunday evening after Terrence had flown back to Phoenix. He had been in a specific form that I had not heard before, the form of someone who has been fully in a thing and has come out the other side and is still integrating. He had said, it was hard. He had said, good. He had said, I had not seen him in 25 years. He had said, the in-person is different from the call. I had said, yes. He had been quiet. He had said, I am glad Carol told him to go. He had said, I am glad he came to your door. He had said, I am glad you let him in and told me. I had said, I was not sure about any of those steps as I was taking them. He had said, I know. He had said, that is the thing about the steps that matter. He had said, you do not always know they are the right steps while you are taking them. He had said, you find out afterward. I had said, yes. He had said, thank you for taking the steps. I had said, yes. I said, you're welcome. He had said, Nyla. I had said, yes. He had said, your uncle asked me to tell you something. I had said, tell me. He had said, he asked me to tell you, the map you brought me was the right map at the right time. He had said, those were his words. I want to say something about what I had said to Terrence in a conversation we had had in September, a month after the Houston weekend, in which I had asked him something I had been carrying since the Saturday doorstep. I had asked, when you were deciding to come to my door, what made you choose me rather than going to him directly? He had been quiet for a long moment. He had said, I knew who you were from what I had been told by people who had been in contact with the family over the years. He had said, I knew you were in Tucson, and I knew something about what you did. He had said, I also knew something about your father's relationship with you. He had said, I had been told you were the person he talked to when he needed to say the things he did not know how to say. I had said, where did you hear that? He had said, your grandmother told me before she died. She had died when I had been 26, which was in the middle of his sobriety, and he had maintained a quiet connection with her in the years of the recovery without my father knowing. He had said, she told me about you when you were small. She had said, Nyla is the one who asks the questions. She had said, she will know what to do with the answers. He had said, I thought about that for a long time. He had said, when Carol told me to go, I thought, I should go to the one who asked the questions. I had been quiet for a moment. I had said, she said I was the one who asked the questions. He had said yes. I had said she was right. He had said yes, she was. He had said she usually was. I want to say something about my grandmother and about what she had been and about what the information about the quiet connection had added to the map that had been accumulating since March. My grandmother had died when I had been 26. She had been 81. She had been, in my memory, a woman who had held the family in the specific form of a matriarch who does not require the family to know that she is holding it. The holding had been quiet and consistent and had been the specific form of care that produces stability without announcing itself. She had known about Terrence's sobriety. She had known about the Phoenix life. She had been in quiet contact with him for the years of her life after the falling out. She had not told my father, he had not known, and she had not told me. She had known that the information would be held by the person who would know what to do with it, which was herself, until the time when the holding needed to be given to someone else. She had told Terrence that I asked the questions. She had been giving Terrence the map for where to go when the time came. She had been doing her own cartography for 25 years, identifying the features of the landscape that would be relevant when the revision was needed, noting which person would receive the new data and know how to work with it, leaving the information in the right place for the right time. She had been 81, and she had been mapping the territory for the revision that had not yet happened. She had been the most complete cartographer in the family. I had learned this from her grave, through Terrence. The lesson had been exactly right. I want to say something about the last piece of the map that I had received in October, 7 months after the Saturday doorstep, when I had gone back to Houston for a visit and had been in the house with my father and had asked him the question I had been building towards since March. I had said, did you know Grandma was in contact with Terrence? He had been very still. He had said, when did you learn that? I had said, Terrence told me. He had been quiet for a long time. He had said, yes. He had said, I knew. I had said, you knew. He had said, she told me, about 5 years before she died. She had said, I have been in contact with him. She had said, "I am not asking your permission." She had said, "I am telling you so that you know." He had said, "She told me in the way she told me things as fact, without apology, expecting me to receive it as what it was." I had said, "What did you do with the information?" He had said, "I kept it." He had said, "I held it alongside the decision that had been the right decision." He had said, "She needed to know her son." He had said, "I could not take that from her." He had said, "I could also not reverse the decision." He had said, "I held both." I had said, "You held both for 5 years." He had said, "Yes." He had said, "It is not comfortable to hold both." He had said, "It is the accurate position." I had said, "Yes." He had said, "The accurate position is not always the comfortable one." I had said, "No." He had said, "She knew where to put the information when the time came." I had said, "She told Terrence I was the one who asked the questions." He had been quiet for a long moment. He had said, "Yes." He had said, "That sounds like her." He had said, "She was right." I had said, "Yes, she was." Thank you for staying until the end. If this story connected with something real in your life, write it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you are carrying an incomplete map of a person or a situation in your family that has not been fully revised because the primary sources have not been in the same room, I want to say something clearly before you go. The map you have is the best map available with the data you have had access to. The map is not wrong for having been produced from incomplete data. The map is incomplete. There may be a primary source somewhere, a doorstep, a phone call, a question you have not yet asked, that has the data the map needs. The revision does not repudiate the original. The original was right given what it knew. The revision makes the original more accurate given what is now known. The territory has usually changed in ways the original map could not have captured. Let the map be revised. The revision is not the erasure. It is the map finally matching the territory as it is. That is the only form of the map worth having. I want to say something about the hour after Terrence had left my apartment and about what I had done with the Saturday morning that had remained after the 2 hours at the kitchen table. He had left at 12:30. I had been in the apartment alone with the specific quality of an apartment after a significant visit. The cups still on the table, the specific arrangement of the space reflecting the presence of the person who had been in it. I had washed the cups. I had stood at the kitchen counter for a while. I had then gone to my desk, the standing desk near the window with the view of the Tucson mountains, and had pulled up the mapping software I used for work and had opened a blank project. I had not done this with any specific intention. I had done it in the way that people who work with maps return to the map when they need to think. The map is the form in which I process things. I had created a new layer in the blank project. I had labeled the layer Incomplete Data, 1999 Present. I had not added any features. I had just looked at the blank layer for a while. The blank layer had been the representation of what I did not yet have, the features of the territory that had been absent from my map for 25 years. The blank layer needed data. I was going to get the data from the primary sources. The Sunday call would be the first primary source. Whatever my father said on the Sunday call would be the first new features added to the layer. I had closed the software. I had gone to my office for the quiet Saturday work. I had been planning before Terrence had knocked. The Saturday work had been the same work it would have been without the visit. The layer in my head had been different from the layer it had been before he had knocked. I want to say something about my brother Darius, and about the specific place he had had in the situation, and about what I had told him and when. Darius is 30 years old. He had been 5 when the falling out had happened, and had therefore had an even less complete map of the situation than I had had. He had known the name Terrence in the way that 5-year-olds know names that appear and disappear, as a fact of the world that had not required explanation because explanation was not given and the 5-year-old did not yet know how to demand it. He had grown up with the same fragments I had grown up with, but had had fewer of them, being 3 years younger than me at the time of the falling out. I had not called him immediately after the Saturday visit because I had needed to tell my father before I told anyone else in the family. I had called him the week after the Sunday call with my father. He had listened and had been quiet for a long time and had said, "He was in Houston, wasn't he?" He had said, "I think I was 5. He had said, I have a memory of a man at Thanksgiving. He had said, I think that is him. I had said yes. It probably was. He had said, why did no one tell us? I had said, because we were 5 and 8. He had said, and then. I had said, and then the estrangement was established, and the explaining of it to the children would have required the full account of the bad years, which is not the account you give children. He had been quiet. He had said, I would like the full account now. I had said, yes, I know. I had said, let me give you what I have, and then we can get the rest together. He had said, yes. He had said, I want to talk to Dad about it too. I had said, yes. He had said, and to Terrence. I had said, yes. He had said, the map was missing a lot. I had said, yes. He had said, it is better now. I had said, it is getting better. I want to say something about Terrence's wife Carol, and about what she had been given by the story, and about what I had understood about the specific role she had played. She had been the one who had said, go. Terrence had described her saying it as the thing that had finally converted 24 years of carrying the intention into the specific act of arriving at my doorstep. I had spoken with her once briefly on the phone in May after my father had called Terrence. She had been warm in the specific form of a person who has been watching someone she loves carry something for a long time, and who has been waiting for the carrying to be set down. She had said, I am glad he went. She had said, I told him years ago. She had said, I kept telling him. She had said, I think I finally found the sentence that moved him. I had said, what was the sentence? She had said, I told him, you are waiting for the perfect moment, and the perfect moment is never coming. She had said, I told him, the moment that is available is the moment to go. She had said, he thought about it for a week. She had said, then he went. I had said, the moment that is available is the moment to go. She had said, yes. She had said, he would have waited another 24 years for the perfect moment. I had said, yes. She had said, the perfect moment does not exist. She had said, the available moment is the one. I had said, yes. She had said, I am glad he found your doorstep. I had said, I am glad you told him to go. I want to say something about the geospatial work I had been doing in the weeks and months of the situation, and about what the professional practice had given me alongside the personal navigation. I had been working in the spring on a project for a state agency in Arizona that required the production of detailed maps of historical fire perimeters, the specific work of compiling historical satellite and aerial data to show where fires had burned and how the landscape had been changed by the fires. The fire perimeter maps had required integrating data from multiple time periods and multiple sources. Each source had captured the territory differently, at different resolutions, and from different perspectives, and the work of the project had been the work of reconciling the different representations into a coherent picture of how the territory had changed across time. The fire perimeter work had been in the months of the Terrence situation in direct conversation with what I was doing personally. I had been reconciling historical records from multiple sources to produce a coherent picture of how the family territory had changed across time. The satellite data for the fire perimeters, and the fragments from my grandmother and the account from Terrence in the Sunday call with my father, and the October conversation had all been the multi-source records that needed reconciling. The methodology had been the same. Identify the sources, assess their reliability and resolution, integrate them into the most complete picture available, acknowledge the remaining gaps. The fire perimeter map and the family map had been produced by the same professional methodology applied to different material. The map had been getting more accurate as the sources had been integrated. The territory had been showing what it actually was. I want to say something about a specific moment in the August Houston weekend that my father had described to me in the call afterward, and that I had been thinking about since. He had described a moment on the Saturday afternoon when the two of them had been sitting on his back porch, which was the porch my grandmother had also sat on across her life, and had been quiet for a while in the way of two people who have been talking for a long time and who have arrived at the specific quality of silence, that is, the silence of two people who know each other again. My father had said, we sat on the porch for a while. He had said, I had not realized until we were sitting there how many times we had sat on that porch. He had said, I had been sitting on that porch for 25 years without him, and I had not been counting the times. He had said, when he was there I understood that I had been counting them. He had said, I do not know if that makes sense. I had said, yes, it makes complete sense. He had said, yes, I thought it might. He had said, the porch is different when you are both on it. He had said, I had forgotten what the both of you on the porch version was. He had said, I had remembered it during the 25 years, but the remembering had been the memory of the thing, not the thing itself. He had said, the thing itself was on the porch on Saturday. I had said, yes. He had said, it was exactly like I remembered it, and also nothing like what I remembered because the remembering had compressed it. I had said, the actual thing is never what the memory of it was. He had said, no. He had said, it is always more. I had said, yes. He had said, always more. I want to say something about a conversation I had had with my mother in June after the first video call with the three of us, and about what she had contributed to my understanding of the 25 years that had not been available to me from the other sources. My mother had been present through the full 25 years in the specific form of the person who is not the principal in the estrangement, but who is in the marriage with the principal, and who has been, across the 25 years, the person my father had processed the grief of the lost brother with. She had said, I want to tell you something about your father across those years. She had said, he never stopped asking about Terrence when the occasions presented themselves. She had said, when he saw old friends of both of them, he would ask, have you heard from Terrence? She had said, he would ask without making it the focus. She had said, he would ask in passing, in the way that you ask about someone when you want to know, but you are not ready to do anything with the knowing. She had said, across 25 years of those questions I understood that the decision to maintain the distance had been the right decision, and that the maintenance had been the most difficult thing he had done. She had said, he was doing two things at once, maintaining the right distance and mourning the person the distance was from. She had said, both of those things were real, and they were in him at the same time. She had said, I do not think anyone can maintain that without it showing. I had said, I always knew it was showing. She had said, yes. She had said, I know. She had said, you asked about it when you were 12 and he told you the estrangement was complicated. She had said, I think you knew from that answer that it was more complicated than the answer was giving you. I had said, yes. She had said, you always ask the right questions. She had said, your grandmother told me that when you were small. I had said, Grandma told you too. She had smiled. She had said, she told everyone. I want to say something about what the situation had looked like by December 9 months after the Saturday doorstep, and about what the map of the family territory had become. My father and Terrence had spoken on the phone multiple times since the August weekend. They had not been speaking weekly. The relationship had been finding its own frequency, the frequency of two people who had been estranged for 25 years, and who are building the contact from the current position rather than resuming the contact from the position they had been in before. The current position was 66 and 63, was Houston and Phoenix, was the current versions of the people they were rather than the versions they had been. The map had been revised. The revised map had the full picture of the territory that had been hidden for 25 years. The bad years, the protective distance, the sobriety, the Phoenix life, the Carol who had said go, the grandmother's quiet contact, the Saturday doorstep. All of it was in the map now. The blank layer I had created on the Saturday afternoon had been filled in across the 9 months. The features were in the right locations. The territory, as it was, matched the map as it was. I had the most accurate map of the family territory I had ever had. The accuracy had cost the 9 months of the situation and had required the primary sources and had required letting Terrence in on a Saturday when I had been in the specific form of someone not expecting company. The letting in had been the beginning of the accuracy. The accuracy had been worth the letting in. I want to say something about the specific work project that had been running in parallel with the Terrence situation and about what the fire perimeter maps had taught me, specifically about the relationship between time and the territory. The Fire Perimeter project had required me to reconcile satellite data from different decades. The 1990s data had been at much lower resolution than the current data, which meant that features that were clearly visible in the recent imagery had been blurred or absent in the older imagery. This had been the specific challenge of the project, not that the old data was wrong, but that it had been produced at a resolution that had not been sufficient to capture certain features of the landscape. The features had been there in the 1990s. They had simply not been visible at the resolution of the 1990s satellite. The revision had not discovered that the features had appeared since the 1990s. The revision had discovered that they had been there the whole time, and that the 1990s imagery had not had the resolution to show them. My map of the estrangement had been produced at the resolution of an 8-year-old's capacity to receive and understand information. The features of the territory, the addiction, the damage, the protective decision, the grief, had all been present in 1999. They had simply not been capturable at the resolution available to an 8-year-old. The update had not discovered things that had appeared since 1999. It had discovered things that had been there the whole time and that I had not had the resolution to see. The territory had been what it had been. The resolution had improved. The map had caught up. I want to say something about a call I had with Terrence in November, 8 months after the Saturday doorstep, in which he had said something about what the visit had cost him that I had not known before he said it. He had said, "I want to tell you something about the decision to come to your door." He had said, "I drove from Phoenix." I had said, "The whole way." He had said, "Yes." He had said, "I was not certain until I was in front of your building that I was going to knock." He had said, "I drove 14 hours, stopping overnight in Blythe, and had arrived in Tucson and had parked on your street and had been in the car for 40 minutes deciding." He had said, "I would have driven back if you had not answered." He had said, "I told Carol I would not ring twice." He had said, "I would ring once." He had said, "If you did not answer, I would drive back." He had said, "You answered." I had been quiet. He had said, "I want you to know what it took to ring once." I had said, "Yes." I had said, "Tell me." He had said, 45 minutes in the car on the street. He had said, 14 hours of the drive there. He had said, 24 years of the sobriety. He had said, all of those were what it took to ring once. I had been very quiet. He had said, "I rang once." He had said, "You answered." He had said, "I am grateful you answered." I had said, "Yes." I had said, "I am grateful you rang." He had said, "Carol said I would ring if I went." She had said, "You will ring." She had said, "You have not done all of this work not to ring." He had said, she was right. I had said, she usually is. He had said, yes. He had said, that is exactly what I always say. I want to say something about the September conversation with Terrence, in which I had asked him about my grandmother and about what he had said about her across the years they had been in quiet contact. He had told me that the contact had been occasional, a call on her birthday each year and a call on Mother's Day, and sometimes a call when something significant had happened in his life that he had wanted her to know about. He had said, "She never told me to stop calling." She had said, "I want to know my son is alive." He had said, "I understood that she was not sanctioning the estrangement and was not contradicting it. She had been holding both, maintaining the contact with her son and not interfering with her other son's decision." He had said, "She never told me what your father was doing." She had said, "I will not do that." She had said, "That is not mine to give you." He had said, "I respected that." He had said, "She had given me the one thing I needed, which was to know that she knew I was alive and that she loved me." He had said, "For 25 years I had one family member who knew I was alive and loved me." He had said, "That was enough to keep going." I had said, "She was holding the thread." He had been quiet. He had said, "Yes." He had said, "That is the exactly right phrase." He had said, "She was holding the thread between me and the family until the time came when someone else could hold it." He had said, "When she died, I was afraid the thread had died with her." He had said, "Carol told me, the thread does not die with the person who is holding it." She had said, The thread is still there. She had said, "You have to pick it up." I had said, "And Carol told you to pick it up." He had said, "Yes." He had said, "She told me to go pick it up at your door." I had said, "Yes." I had said, "I was at the door." He had said, "Yes, you were." I want to say something about the specific quality of the Tuesday in October when I had been at my desk doing the final reconciliation of the fire perimeter project and had been integrating the last of the historical data sources and had arrived at the final version of the map that had been complete enough for the deliverable. I had been in the specific form of a cartographer who has finished the product, the satisfaction of the map that has all its features in the right places, that shows the territory as it is rather than as a previous version had approximated it. I had been looking at the final map and had been thinking about what the fire perimeters showed, the places where the fires had burned and where the landscape had been changed by the burning and where the recovery had happened in the years after and where the recovery was still in progress. The fire perimeter map was not a map of what had been lost. It was a map of what the territory was, the burned areas and the recovered areas, and the areas that were still in the process of recovering. All of it was on the map. The burned areas were on the map because they had been burned. The recovery was on the map because it had happened. The still recovering was on the map because it was still in progress. The map showed all of it honestly. I had been thinking about my family's map. The burned areas were on the map. The recovery was on the map. The still recovering was on the map. All of it was there. The map had been completed enough for the deliverable. The deliverable was the family that was speaking now. The speaking was the deliverable. The map had done its work. I want to say something about a Sunday in December 9 months after the Saturday doorstep, when I had been on the phone with my father and we had been at the end of a call that had been the ordinary form of the weekly calls we had been having for years. He had said, "I want to say something before we end." I had said, "Say it." He had said, "I want to tell you what it has been like to have the new data." He had said, not the revised map as a metaphor, the actual experience. I had said, "Tell me." He had said, "It has been like having a room in the house open that I did not know had been closed." He had said, not a room I had forgotten about. A room I had been aware of being closed for 25 years. He had said, "The room has been open since August." He had said, "I keep walking by it and looking in." He had said, "It is not a comfortable room." He had said, "It is also not a room I want to close again." I had been quiet. He had said, "I want to tell you something about the closing." He had said, "When I closed it, I understood I was closing something that had been part of the house." He had said, "I closed it because the thing in the room was dangerous to the people in the rest of the house." He had said, "I have been living with the closed room for 25 years, knowing I had made the right decision." He had said, "The room being open now is not a reversal of the decision." He had said, "It is the decision having run its course." He had said, "The room is open now because what was dangerous in it has been addressed across 24 years of someone else's work." He had said, "I did not do that work." He did. He had said, "I am grateful he did the work." He had said, "I am grateful you opened the door." I had said, "I let him in." He had said, "Yes." He had said, "That is how it started." I had said, "Yes." He had said, "I am glad you let him in." I had said, "Yes." I said, "Me too." I want to say something about what the grandmother's cartography had given me, and about what the fullest lesson of the 9 months had been. She had been holding the thread. She had been maintaining the quiet contact that had kept Terrence tethered to the family across 25 years, when the family had been unable to hold that tether directly. She had known she was holding it. She had known she was not the person to hand it to when she was gone. She had told Terrence, "Nyla is the one who asked the questions." She had given him the address before she had given anyone the map. The address had been the gift she had left when she had died. The map had been built from the address being used. The grandmother who holds the thread until someone is ready to receive it is the cartographer. The family does not know it has. She had been doing the cartographic work in the specific form available to her: the quiet contact, the preserved connection, the note left in the right place. The holding had been her cartography. The letting in had been mine.